My name is Kalamu Fantagabayo, fourth year PhD student of sociology at the Chinese University of Hong Kong here. So, without further ado, I think let me give you a brief introduction about that. So, in this tutorial, I want to give you the introduction in into three sections. The first section will be about before the application, what you're going to do, what information you're to have. Then during the application, we will divide it into two preparatory phase and then the actual application that we call it the initial and the full application. And then after the application, what we need to do will be introduced here. So to begin with the first section, I will try to depend on the given briefs that are released in the website of the Hong Kong PhD Fellowship Scheme. So before the application, I recommend you to see the first section, Hong Kong PhD Fellowship Scheme. You can see how when it started, and then you can check even the very different intakes that the fellowship took students in every year, starting from 2011. It took different amount of students, and now starting from that year onwards, this year they're going to take 400 students. It's too much, a huge number. So in terms of eligible universities, there are 8 universities. So there are more than 20 universities in the country. In the city of Hong Kong, these are the 8 universities which are eligible for admitting students in the fellowship scheme. So as per the amount of the fellowship, I think I can say that it is one of the globally prestigious fellowship I have ever seen. I think it's worthy enough to have this as a fellowship, despite the fact that this is too much competitive. But I wish you desire to have it and then apply it seriously and then secure it, and then that is a life-changing scholarship, you see. So please check the amount. There are different amounts given as a stipend, as a research grant. There are travel grants for researching every year. So that's good to know that one. Then as per the programs which are included in the fellowship, many of the programs that are included: social science, medicine, engineering, technology, humanities, social science, and business studies are included in different universities. Beyond this page will give you a clue about what you should have in your mind before going to the application. I think the most important thing that you need to note is about the selection parameters. You should know. So make sure that you have everything in line with this one. Make sure that you make a practical self-audit in bringing this material. The first one is about academic excellence or credentials. You need to have the scanned copy of every of the bachelor's and the master's degree. In fact, it is different from country to country. You can check the website of each university. If you are from mainland China or from other European countries, probably you came with your honorable bachelor degree, so you are not expected to have a master degree. But for those who came from Africa and Ethiopia, I think you need to have minimum a master's degree. And actually, to be sure, I recommend you to check the website and the requirement in each university. So in this regard, I think make sure that you have the academic credentials. Beyond having a master's and then bachelor degree credentials, I think if you have a kind of training that you have taken in different areas, I think better to include them. That are important, especially if you have experiences from from abroad, not your country, from Europe, USA, Canada, and other countries. I think they have a different value. They have a plus scenario. So make sure that you have included those. As per the research abilities and potentials, you will be evaluated based on your publications, your current research engagement, what you are doing in the area of research in terms of undertaking practical projects, supervising students, examining them, and taking trainings in the area of research. Those are important for you. So make sure that you have included those things. And the third one is, I think, a bit technically speaking, tough to certify, is about communication and interpersonal skills. Obviously, you know what you mean by, but in relation to including it as part of this application, I think better to check your own engagements in the area of social committees, forming groups, your media appearances, media exposure. You have had a discussion with formal and informal media that you have provided your professional expertise in the area of discussion, and then those things can be included. So in this case, you can include it in your CV, where there is a section where you need to include about communication and interpersonal skills. That is a section where you can state about. The last but not the least is about leadership abilities. Leadership abilities means that the potential and particularly the actual position that you have had in relation to leadership in formal positions or informal one. Formal, it means that informally in higher in different institutions, but there might be engagements where you have been engaging in leading different groups, in leading different business groups. You can include, by the way. I remember in my interview, one of the interview was I have included one of my board membership in an Axion, and I have included. They have asked me what is the need of that in your application and in your field of study, and then I have been applying that. I know that's relevant exposure for me as a sociologist. I think it gave me the sense of working with us as well, how things can be managed. That can be one credential that you're gonna incorporate, but you need to have a certificate for all this. In all these four parameters, it's not about your statement that your ideal, your verbal written words that matter. Rather, we need to certify documentations. So, having this in your mind, then if you have these materials, if you have these documents, and if you know all about this one, I think that will be a motivator. You will have a motivation where you can apply for the next phase. So before your application, make sure that you have information on those minimum things. So you need to have your CVs then, your CV on passport or national ID. If it works for the application, check it out. So make sure that you have those documents before you go to the application. Then when you come to the application, as you have it, when you see the application procedure, it's clearly stated that you need to pass through two phases. The first one is about the initial application, and the second one is about the submission of the full application to each university. The initial application is submitted to GC, and in this case, one of the important things that you need to be careful about the initial application, you can check what's there. You can read about the guidelines about the initial application. It's clearly stated, there are instructions given, but when you go to the application section of the initial one, you need to fill at least four things. My emphasis is on the second one, choice of universities. So as far as the initial application is concerned, maximum you need to apply for 2 programs or for 2 universities, and minimum you can apply for a program. That's possible, by the way. So in doing so, you need to feel about the choice of your programs and your potential title. You will see there, I think, for those who checked it, who already submitted the initial application, you know what I mean by. So in this section, don't be careful that you only need to have one initial application, not 2 or 3. You need to have only one initial application. Otherwise, you're going to be disqualified from the application. You will not be considered in the application then. So in this case, after you submitted this one, you'll get a reference number, and keep it that reference number. That's important for the next application. While submitting your full application, make sure that you have indicated that reference number. Otherwise, the fellowship committee will not know about your status, whether you have applied it or not, unless you have that number. And then you make sure that you have included it while finishing your full application. So for the initial application, I can say this one. But when you see the initial application, it will not be done without going further to deal with, to understand, to see the universities, isn't it? You cannot fill it without having a clue about universities and having a clue about your potential supervisors. In fact, there are 2 ways to complete the initial application. You can choose randomly to universities or to programs from a university and submit and generate a reference number. You can have that one. That's the simplest way. And after submitting the initial application and having your reference number, and then while finishing the second phase, especially after submitting, you make sure that update your selection. You can update, by the way. You can update your initial application. How are you going to update it? You can use the reference number you have given. It's already sent to your email address. And then you can use the same email address, and you can update it, the information that they have produced, including the universities and the title you have included can be updated. That is one possibility. If not, The second, which I prefer you to do, is about before even submitting the application and checking and then proceeding to submitting your initial application, I highly recommend you to check the potential supervisors and programs. You need to check your program, whether the program is available or not, plus the potential supervisor that they're gonna supervise you. So your research interest and then the alignment of your research interest, and then professors need to be done ahead of submitting that one. So as a note, in this case, you can check 8 universities one by one. You can at least check your program and potential supervisors, 2 or 3 supervisors in each, and then you can have a list of that, and then you can have a prioritization. You can make priority. You can rank them 1 to 8, and then you can take out. You can contact professors, and then you can go according to that. So the ranking might be based on the potential supervisors, or might be based on the program you have it, or both, for the ideality of the program itself and the potential supervisors. So based on that, based on this information, you can fill the application. That's it. Submitting and having the reference number, you go dive to the second phase of the application then. The second phase, which is submission of the full application to your proposed university. After your priorities, then you should go to each university to apply. There is a page for each of the universities. For instance, let's check. Let me show you in the university where I'm in, which is the Chinese University of Hong Kong. When you go to the Chinese University of Hong Kong, you can find, now I want to see the program and the application, how I proceed to apply. Clearly speaking, here is concerning the information about the fellowship scheme. You can find it here. You can read about lots of things on the fellowship. A lot of things are mentioned. You can you can read about that, and then there are procedures for that matter. It tells you about the basic information about the university and the previous students who would have that award, and different tips are being given. Even there's a section how to apply. That's it, and the requirements are clearly stated. And after having this one, before doing the starting the application, the first should be having supervisors and then checking the program. So in this regard, click the program section, and then you can click either the program. If you are in the Department of Arts, Faculty of Arts, Business, Education, Engineering, the other faculty, Law, Medicine, Science, Social Science. I'm in Social Science. Let me click that one. This one. So I want to check which program is there. Is it my program there? You can check your program then. I'm in the field of sociology, and I'm searching for that. You can find social science, social work, sociology, psychology, and other fields are here. So I found that there's a Master's of Philosophy in Sociology, and there's PhD in Sociology. I click there. And then I found a lot of things about my department. It's about the information about the department, including the structure, the streams that it has, the courses being taken, the streams in terms of research areas that you're going to fix. That's important, field of specialization, the amount of payment if you have self-funded student, the admission criteria. And then after having this information, I want to check potential supervisor. Then you can go to the main page. You found the official website of Department of Sociology at the Chinese University of Hong Kong like this. Then sometimes one of the trick aspect is about directly find the professors while go to the web page of each of the department. You should go detail. Well, in this case, you are supposed to check every windows, but in this case, I want to check the people, the full academic staff, full-time faculty. It might not be the same like in every university. It may be different. The name of the name might not be the same. It's different, but check it out. So in this case, I'm gonna check the supervisor, the potential professors, which I didn't know their research area. So I'm gonna click in the research area on their name. You can click the research area without clicking their details. You can find. Otherwise, I think it's better to check the whole background of the professors, so you can see the professor, the full detail of the professor, the information, research areas, publication. That's an ideal information for you to be confident enough in choosing who will be your ideal supervisor and who will be your potential supervisor. That will be important. That is a point that you need to check. Then before submitting the full application, you need to go through this step. You see? So you should, for all of you, with this procedure, you need to check every department page and then select potential supervisors. And while writing the asking your professors to be your potential supervisor, I think you need to have a kind of a communication essay that briefly states your current your academic ranks, like that of your bachelor degree, master's degree, and different academic credentials. And then you can see your and what you are doing now, what you have been doing before as a university lecturer or a banker, anything else. Then you can state about your research engagement briefly. We have been doing this research, and now I am working on this one. So after checking the website, your official website, I found that your CV is very much convenient for my research area. So would you mind if you're gonna be my supervisor and contribute a lot in the area? Might be an ideal tip that you need to have a communication with. So have at least 2 or 3 paragraph essay that could really describe who you are, what you have, what you want to do, briefly, and then mentioning your name, of course. That is an important sample communication essay, which I can show you on the YouTube page. You can share that. And this again, make sure that you are subscribed to KK Media Tube. Please share it to others. Then after fixing your supervisors and then contacting and having their consent, then based on the consent, you need to go to each page of the university and submit the application. So one of the important thing that you need to be careful in the full application is that I think it might be different across universities, and in each university they have their own procedures. So one of the thing is that in each of the application, one thing must be done. That is, there are 4 essays that has to be written about your research, past research experience, research plan, your research experiences. There are 4 questions to be written that are important for you to make you a competent candidate for the fellowship. Otherwise, you will not be considered for the fellowship, in fact. So those essays are particularly written to be a competent candidate for the fellowship. So make sure that you have written those 4 questions. Most of the time, most students are not filling those, because in the first section, the first full application, while submitting the application after paying your tuition fee, after your application fee, you will not check the system again. So if you didn't finish those questions in the first section of the full application, make sure that you check it in the website system and then try to fill and submit it again. That is an important tip you need to take. Otherwise, you will not be considered. So this might be checked after submitting your application. So another remark in this in submitting the full application is, I think, make sure that you have communicating with your potential supervisors. Even before submitting the application, you can share them that this is the full application. Do you have any comment? You can ask them like that. At a minimum, ask and let them know about the submission minimum. But at most, it's better to let know them about your application progress, and then you can have even comments from them if they are willing to do so. If they are willing to make a comment on your application, I think that's a positive thing. So make sure that you are really communicating with your supervisors, potential supervisors. That will be important. Then after submitting the application, and then you have received success email about your application, I think you need to wait for wait for a response from the university. Especially, there might be 2 or 3 responses. The first one might be the earlier might be documentation. The document, if there are documents missed or incomplete files are there, they're gonna contact you. Then you should frequently check your email. And the other thing is might be, especially between December 1 up to January, the early January, you might be contacted for interview. And mostly this interview is for being a candidate for the fellowship. That's mostly the trend here. It's not necessarily, in fact, but it might be at the end of March. But mostly students who will be screened for the fellowship, they are mostly interviewed between December 1 and then January, the early January. So when you're gonna have those emails and if you have a confusion, let us know. You can comment, you can give in the comment section on the things you need, especially tips. We'll organize, in fact, tips on that. But if you have any confusion at the middle, let's know, please. The other thing is about the interview. You'll be interviewed even after January and then till May. That might be another thing for the studentship or for the fellowship, exceptionally. And lastly, you might not be interviewed, and then you will be awarded the studentship for that matter, or the fellowship. It's mostly exceptionally happening like that without interview. So at any cost, be alerted to check your email. That is the important tip. Then after doing this one, I think we'll have I'm gonna have a kind of tips on the interview and then other things. So for now, this much is enough, I think. Using these tips and while applying might be important for beginners and for those who are on the way to complete or at the middle of doing the application. So I think I have done. Thank you very much for giving your time to listen these tips, and make sure that you have already subscribed. Good luck for all of you.